a scandal that reaches from beyond the grave.
This is where the house of cards starts falling.
As the disgraced financier's dirty secrets threaten to tear down society's most powerful.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
So in the end, he obviously did himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
In 2020, music Ricky Gervais stood on the Golden Globe stage and did something nobody else would music do. He looked at Hollywood's biggest stars sitting right in front of him, and Ricky exposed Jeffrey Epstein to the celebrities in that music room who knew him very well. The same people who flew on his plane and partied at his island. The very same people stayed silent music while he preyed on children. Now, at the time, all those celebrities who were close to Epstein groaned and laughed nervously, and Jerry smiled music like he knew something the rest of us were about to find out. Now, years later, the files are finally leaking. The names music of Epstein's famous associates are emerging, and some of Hollywood's biggest stars are doing something strange. They have all gone silent. Music, and some, like Ellen DeGeneres, have even fled the country. Ricky Gervais warned them. Music. He stood on that stage and named the devil out loud. And now the very people who laughed are the ones who vanished. Music. Is this a coincidence? Tonight we examine the names, the silence, and the question no one in Hollywood will answer. Where are all the celebrities who love to associate music with Epstein? And why have they all of a sudden gone quiet?
If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you? So, if you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and off, okay?
Ricky Gervais has hosted the Golden Globes 5 times, and every time he's done the same thing, Ricky has always told the truth. On a serious note, just looking at all the faces here reminds me of some of the great work that's been done this year by cosmetic surgeons. I'm so now to understand why Jerry is suddenly relevant again. You have to understand what he did that night in January 2020. He walked onto that stage knowing exactly what he was going to say, and more importantly, he knew exactly who he was going to say it to. In the room that night were some of the most powerful people in entertainment. People who had built careers on carefully managed images. People who had attended Epstein's parties, flown on his plane and visited his island. People who had remained silent for decades. Ricky cleverly began promoting his Netflix series Afterlife, a show about a man who wants to end his life after his wife dies of cancer. And that's when he seized his opportunity to drop a shocking truth bomb.
On a serious note, just looking at all the faces here reminds me of some of the great work that's been done this year by cosmetic surgeons.
For a moment, no one moved, and the cameras tried to cut away, but those in the room felt it. Jerry had just said the one thing you weren't supposed to say in polite company. He had named the elephant in the room, the one everyone was pretending didn't exist. And despite how he said it, he wasn't joking. Ricky was pointing at the hypocrisy of the celebrities in that room who knew Epstein. The same celebrities who smiled for photos with a man who ran trafficking ring. The very same people who stayed silent while he preyed on children. But this wasn't the first time Jerry used his platform to warn us. At the same award show where he exposed Epstein's friends, Ricky made a joke that seemed playful at the time, but now reads like prophecy. Ronan Farrow, the journalist who would later expose Harvey Weinstein, who would win a Pulitzer, and who would become the most feared name in Hollywood.
The entire first season of Afterlife, instead of watching this show, that's a show about a man who himself because his wife dies of cancer, and it's still more fun than this, okay? Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
Now, at the time, celebrities laughed because they thought it was just another Gervais joke. But he wasn't joking. He was telling them that their secrets weren't safe, that someone was watching and the walls were closing in. Jer has always been clear about why he does this. He's explained it in interviews that when he hosts an award show, he has a choice: to write jokes that make the celebrities in the room feel comfortable, to pander to them, flatter them, and stroke their egos. Or he could speak to the millions of people watching at home, the people who pay their salaries, the people who are tired of watching the powerful pat themselves on the back.
In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world, people from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow. He's coming for you.
Now, years later, the Epstein files are finally trickling out, and some of the biggest stars who were in that room, who got implicated in the Epstein files, have done something remarkable. They've simply gone quiet, almost as if they disappeared. Ricky Gervais stood on that stage and named the devil out loud. He looked at the most powerful people in the world and told them he didn't care who their friends were. And now the people who laughed, they're the ones who are not laughing anymore. So let's look at who's gone silent. First, we have Tom Hanks. Now, Tom's name is not prominently featured in the Epstein files, but it's there. A 2013 email from Epstein's publicist mentions him in a context that implies social interaction, not proof of wrongdoing, but a thread connecting him to a world he's never publicly acknowledged. Then came the rumors. Social media exploded with claims that Hanks was denied entry to Greece and that his citizenship had been revoked. It didn't take long, but fact-checkers debunked it all. Turns out the story was fabricated. Tom Hanks's name didn't appear in any criminal complaint as the rumor claimed, but the damage was already done and the speculation stuck. And since then, Tom Hanks has had multiple of public appearances canceled. He's withdrawn from interviews and he's gone quiet. Then there's Leonardo DiCaprio. Gervais has spent years targeting him, joking about his dating life, his preference for younger women, not older than 25, and his apparent fear of aging. At the 2020 Globes, Jerry delivered a line that made the room shift.
What made you think, you know what, I'm just going to hammer him? I don't care what the...
Well, I thought, when they said, do you want to host the Golden Globes, all that stuff I said in the show was true. I said, I'm going to write my own jokes, right? And I thought, who do I pander to? The 200 richest people in the room, or the 200 million people watching at home who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires? And it was a no-brainer. I was doing it for them, you know, and I didn't want to, it wasn't set out to hurt their feelings, but it was, if you're going to make it a spectator sport, then you better have something, better be something in it for the people at home.
But beyond the jokes, DiCaprio's name reportedly appears multiple times in the Epstein files. In a June 2009 email, former UK Minister Peter Mandelson asked whether international companies might seek DiCaprio's endorsement. Another 2016 exchange involving an account bearing the name. Deepak Chopra discussed arranging a dinner, asking if DiCaprio would want to attend. Epstein even tried to arrange a dinner between DiCaprio and Woody Allen, though there's no evidence it ever happened. But then the internet went further. Disturbing online claims surfaced about email exchanges between DiCaprio and Allen, involving grotesque code words allegedly reference an exploitation. Every credible fact check has debunked these claims. They originated from pseudoscience sites known for publishing fake news. The Kill Diet narrative is a fabrication. There is no evidence that DiCaprio ever engaged in anything remotely like this. DiCaprio denies any personal connection to Epstein or visiting his island. His representatives have stated flatly that he never spoke with Epstein on the phone. But with millions of pages still sealed, the questions linger. And then there's Oprah. Perhaps the most beloved figure in modern media, beloved until now. Survivors have allegedly referred to her as a someone who connected young girls to Epstein and other powerful men. These are allegations, music, not convictions, but they exist. Oprah was a prominent supporter of John of God, a Brazilian spiritual healer later convicted of running a glowing operation. He was sentenced to nearly a century in prison for kidnapping, and Oprah had praised him. She even featured him on her show.
Once upon a time in Hollywood, nearly 3 hours long, Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. So... even Prince Andrew's like, come on, Leo, mate, you know. You're nearly 50, son.
Online, the allegations have spiraled. Some claim a direct connection between Oprah, John of God, and Epstein. These claims are unverified. They live in the shadows of forums and social media, but they will not die. Since these allegations surfaced, Oprah has dramatically reduced her public appearances. A woman who spent 40 years in the spotlight has quietly stepped back. Her recent appearance at Paris Fashion Week sparked more online speculation about her health, her weight loss, and her slow, music-careful walk. 3 of the biggest names in entertainment. 3 people who sat in that room when Ricky Gervais told them He didn't care who their friends were. 3 people who have in the months since the files leaked gone noticeably quiet. Now when a celebrity named in the Epstein files sells their house, it's a lifestyle change. When 2 celebrities named in the Epstein files relocate, it's a coincidence. But a pattern emerges when the same names start quietly leaving, selling properties at a loss, moving to countries beyond the reach of American law. It's no longer a coincidence. Richard Gere sold his Connecticut compound, a sprawling estate he'd owned for years, at a significant loss. The official reason is a move to Spain for a quieter life. But the timing raised eyebrows. Eva Longoria has also been quietly reducing the price on her Beverly Hills mansion for months. She's been spotted in Spain, in Mexico, living between countries, never staying too long in one place. Rosie O'Donnell relocated to Ireland. She made a statement that stopped people cold. She would never return to the United States. Ryan Gosling and Eva Mendes are reportedly looking at property in London, preparing for a move and building a life outside the country where they built their careers. Look at the destinations: Spain, Mexico, Ireland, music, the UK. Countries without extradition treaties make it difficult, sometimes impossible, for the United Music States to bring citizens home to face charges. Officially, it's all a coincidence. Lifestyle changes, personal preferences, the desire for a new chapter. But the public is no longer buying it. Ricky Gervais was not merely making jokes. He was issuing warnings. He stood on that stage and told the most powerful people in the world that their secrets were not safe, that someone was watching, that the walls were closing in. Now the files are leaking, names are emerging, and the people who once occupied those Golden Globe seats are quietly, methodically disappearing. This is not about guilt. It is not about innocence. It is about pattern recognition, and the pattern is undeniable. What do you make of these exits? Coincidence or calculation? Which departure surprised you most? Richard Gere's compound sold at a loss? Eva Longoria's vanishing act? Rosie O'Donnell swearing she'll never return? And when all the files finally drop, when every redacted name is revealed, who do you believe will be the biggest story? Let me know what you...
This is an interview I wasn't sure would ever happen. One of the most famous spiritual healers in the world rarely talks to anyone on camera. John of God agreed to sit down with me under a mango tree on the grounds of the casa. A group of his patients gathered to watch. John of God speaks only Portuguese, so Heather Cumming helped translate.
Ready, guys? You describe yourself as a spiritual medium. What does that mean, a medium?